All right, welcome back everybody to another episode. Today we're going to talk about cellular respiration, creating energy, ATP. And what you need in front of you is your little half note sheet. Hopefully you attached it in your notebook. I am on page 76, but you should be somewhere around that page. You're going to need a highlighter today because we're going to be highlighting some information. Okay. So, before we begin writing anything down, what you need to know is we're going to talk about a molecule called adenosine triphosphate. I mentioned it yesterday, and we're going to call that chemical, that it's technically a nucleic acid, we're going to call that ATP, just because adenosine triphosphate is a lot to say. So, when we create ATP, we can release energy from this molecule. So that's how you sit up, you breathe, your heart beats, your brain is thinking, you can wiggle your toes. Go ahead, wiggle your toes. Okay. When we break off a phosphate group, so when you see this, and sometimes you'll see videos where they talk about this, we're not going to get into the chemical side of it, but what I need you to know is this is ATP, so triphosphate. There are 3 phosphates here, and so when we use this molecule in our bodies, we actually break off one of these phosphate groups, and then it becomes adenosine diphosphate, just 2 phosphate groups. Okay, so you don't necessarily need to know the chemistry behind it, but what you do need to know is ATP means energy. Okay, so where does cellular respiration occur? Well, all of this actually occurs in our in our cells in an organelle called the mitochondria. Aerobic respiration occurs in the mitochondria. Some other types of respiration can occur in the cytoplasm, but again, that's more details than we need to know. So what I need you to know is that cellular respiration occurs in the mitochondria. So this is your first fill-in. On your papers, you have mitochondria, energy center of the cell, and you are going to write in cellular respiration occurs here. Okay, if you need to pause the video, go ahead. All right, so there are actually 2 types of cellular respiration. There is aerobic respiration and there is anaerobic. Aerobic requires oxygen, anaerobic does not require oxygen. So when I think about this, I think about doing aerobics, and you need oxygen to do aerobics. That's how I remember the difference. Hopefully that'll help you as well. Okay, we're going to look at aerobic respiration first. All right, so again, this occurs in the mitochondria. It requires oxygen and glucose to occur. So on your papers, I want you to take your highlighter, and I want you to highlight requires oxygen. Okay, highlight aerobic and requires oxygen. Okay, on your papers you'll see a chemical equation. Now if we were to write out this chemical equation as you will in high school, it would look what you see on the screen. Okay, the very first thing here, this is oxygen, and it's just saying there are 6 molecules of it. This C6H12O6 is just another chemical form for glucose, your food, right? CO2 is carbon dioxide, H2O is water, and again there are 6 molecules of each of these, and then ATP. Okay, this is how you may see it written sometimes when you're watching other videos maybe. You don't need to know how to balance that equation and put those 6's there. What I want you to remember is this, okay, either one of these. Oxygen plus glucose gives us carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Or you can remember it as O2 plus glucose gives us carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Okay. So what goes into the mitochondria is the oxygen and glucose, which you know that. You know you need to breathe and eat to survive. Okay, that goes into the mitochondria. What comes out is carbon dioxide. You breathe it out, water, and then that molecule, energy molecule, ATP. So these 2, carbon dioxide and water, are waste products. We don't use them really. The ATP is what we're doing this equation for. Okay, really important. Okay, now there is a connection if we're thinking about respiration and photosynthesis. There's a relationship between the 2. What we give off carbon dioxide plants use in photosynthesis. Okay? I just want that in your head right now because we will be talking about photosynthesis in a day or two. All right, finally, on your notes, you have anaerobic fermentation or anaerobic respiration, also known as fermentation. What I want you to highlight is does not require oxygen. I want you to highlight that. Okay? And that's the main thing I want you to know about anaerobic respiration. We will hit it harder when we talk about yeast in the fungus unit as well as bacteria. Both of these do anaerobic respiration quite often. But your muscles will also do anaerobic respiration, and they'll build up what is called lactic acid. And you know that because your muscles get sore, okay? Or they tire out very quickly if you are sprinting. You can't sprint for long periods of time, and the reason you can't is because your muscles are doing anaerobic respiration, producing a lot of lactic acid, which tires the muscle cells out. So anaerobic respiration, no oxygen is used. Okay, oxygen is not available to be used. Your bodies would prefer to use aerobic respiration because anaerobic doesn't produce as much ATP. Okay, so hopefully you're good to go. Follow the instructions for the rest of the day. Thanks.